We have audio.
We're good?
Are.
All right. Everybody stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm gonna use the Dave Lee quote. It's nice to see everybody here. We'd open the meeting, call the meeting to order, and our agenda's good. All right, someone make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes from the 31st.
I'll make that motion to accept the minutes.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. I guess the only thing I was going to do when I came in here was to check all these numbers
One of
to
the
make
things.
sure that them are all the same, so we don't have somebody's hog site that we
Recorded on.
misprinted a number, but with that, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, for general public concerns, we have, just letting you know, we have a 9:15 drainage meeting that we're meeting. Is that with, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna have to try to stay somewhere in the neighborhood of on track here. But if you got general public concerns, please state your name so we can write you down. Most of us know you, know anybody that gets.
I just got Rick on speakerphone.
And Rick is here. Good morning, Rick. Anybody with public concern?
Yeah, Rick Rolfin.
Mitch, go
I
ahead.
got a concern about kind of our property tax that increases that we've been having and how they're going. My business went up 100,000 this year. Building to the south of me, that Nave zone that actually sold for 240,000 is only assessed at 205, and they only went up $4,000, and I went up 100,000. Baumgart's actually went down 100,000. I know there's some concerns with some other properties in Humboldt as well. Housing is another concern. There's our market doesn't really bear houses that are about 650,000. We've had court cases to prove that, and then brought those back down when we've been sued multiple times because of that. So we're setting kind of a precedent where our market should be, but people's increases are still drastically going up. There's a lot up in that Eagle Ridge range that went up quite a bit, but then there's a few that came down for some reason. So it wasn't really consistent of how everything went up and down. Another Northern house, Justin Carlson's, that was assessed for 800,000. He has a mortgage for 400, bank valued at 5. It's not done or completed. His new house in town. That got assessed at 1.6 for 1.6 million. Is all commercial. If he lives there, and it's his home. And I think there's a lot of other businesses in town as well, but it's getting to the point where, I mean, I might have a better opportunity to take my business somewhere else. I don't want to do that. I've been born and raised here. But it's one of those things where I looked at Fort Dodge market. I actually looked at expanding in Fort Dodge, and I have businesses in Fort Dodge as well, and my tax values have never changed like this. Mine actually went down this year. If you look at their housing, where they have their housing at, they don't have a house in Western County right now. And we have multiple houses. So it's just kind of my concern. I know. Yeah. Hers went up for 595 to 800. 890.
Ballot protest.
Yeah, she actually told me she was gonna lower mine and she would sign off on and lower it, and then the next day she told me no, We're actually gonna consider raising bond prices and not lowering those.
Well,
Um,
go ahead.
No, that's just what I was gonna say. I would recommend doing a protest.
Yeah, I have.
I
I mean,
really
the
would.
one thing that gets me is I do this every time. I just gotta
I
see the
know.
county. I don't wanna see the county. Like, I have no interest. I wanna be treated fairly. That's all I want to do is be treated fairly, and that's all I ask for. You know, the hotel's the same way. The hotel, we have a lawsuit against the county, and it went up another 200,000 this year. I mean, I brought all the data in. I brought everything in from all the hotels and showed where they're assessed at, where their market value is, what it was per room. Spent tons of time getting all the data to do it, and then nothing changed, so I don't know what else to do. I mean, it's gonna be something that, something's gonna have to change, otherwise, I mean, we're really pushing business out of town. There's other business in town that's like, hey, we thought about bringing our business to town, not set up off the farm, but we're thinking about going to Western County. I mean, we wanna bring, I mean, we spent how much money on this industrial park? How much money have we spent on now, we're just fighting this kind of stuff too, like, if we want business to come to town, we're gonna have to do something that's fair. I mean, I've been born and raised here, and I wanna continue to stay here, like,
Mhm.
I don't have any plans of ever leaving here.
Right.
But you know, a lot of these houses are getting assessed like that, or people that have roots in Humboldt that are building these houses that they know they're overbuilding for Humboldt. And the market isn't there, but they're priced on what it costs to build, not the cost of the market value. And we have, you know, like in Humboldt, Iowa, we should have some opulence for our market doesn't bear those kind of high-end homes. You know, and we've set precedents in the court system, we've done everything, and nothing's changing. And then if you do, it just seems like, well, they settled theirs for $595, and then what, 2 years later?
I don't even think we settled 2 years.
Yeah,
And then
it's
went
been-
back
it's
up
been-
$300,000.
It's been recently, yeah.
Yeah, and then they're back up 40%. Or however percent.
And that does cost the county a lot of money, and I hate to say it, but we just gotta follow the path, because it costs everybody money. It costs you guys money, it costs us
Yeah.
money. We need to start. So that's what we'll probably everybody will have to do, is to start doing all the appeals. Gosh, my mind just went blank when I wanted to say that, but yeah.
Well, the other day, Mitch, when you, excuse me, when you called me, I told you, none of us up here are any different, because
Right.
I don't know which side of the table I wanna stand on. I'd like to come over there and I'd like to bitch, and I'm not saying you're bitching, but I'm just using that word. I'd like to complain that my taxes, but by the same token, when we're sitting up here and we're trying to figure out how we make our budget
Work.
come together, and somehow we have to have the ability to use the things that the services we provide.
Yeah, so don't correct me if I'm wrong, but so what the properties are assessed for in Humboldt, that doesn't change our taxes.
No,
So our taxes, so if everything was fair across the board, everything, only thing would change is our levy rate. So the county still, regardless of what it is, the county will still get the money they need. Because that's affected by our levy rate, that's not affected by what it's assessed at. So I'm just asking for our properties to be assessed in line with market value.
Mhm.
And to me, that seems like the more successful or assuming that, or the higher end stuff is getting more valuation than the stuff that's actually selling. So our market value in Humboldt's between, I don't know, 100 to 300,000 is really great market. And those houses are selling very, very good. But the problem is what happens is, okay, if a house is assessed at $150,000, sells for 225. And then we go back and say, hey, we had a 10% increase. Well, then let's go 10% across the board and change all those houses. So now the house is now 165, but it sold for 225. So then it sells again. So now we're still under assessed in that market. So that market there is very under assessed, and those are what's selling. But the higher end homes are getting, you know, Ryan Harklaw's was 800 and some, now it's over $1 million. Like, but then in that same neighborhood, you go to Goodell's and his drop 30 or 50, I can't remember the exact amount, but then his drops in their next door neighbors. How does that work? Like, I don't understand that. So it's just, I mean, I think it's one of those things that it's just like, well, you know, if you're Brian Hartwell in town and you're at 833, now you're at $1 million, well, you should pay more. Well, his house is never gonna sell for $9. It's the loss is market value. I mean, that's just him, not him as an example, but Malo's is 1.1 million, Dell's Clark's 1.6 million. Cole Anderson's is that commercial at 1.6 million, like, none of that stuff would sell for even close to that. You know, it should just be a fair across the board. And it should be, you know, kind of in that market. We need to add the obsolescence for those higher end homes because they won't sell for them.
All right,
What you're saying is correct as far as like the levy goes, but the other part is with this new House File 718. We're also limited on what we can levy to. So this kind of so you're right about the assessment and what we can levy for what the money we need, but now we're also tied in with, capping what our levy can be, and we have to have it lowered by 20.
returning it back to 3.5.
And that has to be by 27? 9, I knew it was an odd number. But, yeah, so that's another, that doesn't make the assessments any easier. But when, you know, it does help with bringing revenue in, I'm just gonna be honest with
Yeah,
you.
well, I mean, another thing is too, you know, I'm not gonna don't take this the wrong way, but I
Yep.
think that we need to look at our budgets closer and have those conversations because they need to be looking into deeper than they are. Otherwise, I'm gonna be in financial trouble. You know, I will, you know, like I wanna be here and support it, and I'll pay my fair share because, you know, I use the facilities, I do that stuff, I spend a lot of my own money donating towards a lot of this stuff and a lot of these programs, and so does everybody else in town, and
Mhm.
you know, we wanna see to have a good, strong community and have us be financially strong.
Definitely. Well, we appreciate you guys coming in. It's great to hear from everybody.
How much does it change the taxes? Valuation goes up, but the rate's dropping from 410 to 3 something, like what's it actually changing our taxes? We don't know until September.
Right, because all the budgets are in.
My point being, our taxes might not change much, even though our property values are going up because the rate is being reduced.
You can only use 3% of the growth.
So
And-
the most that our property taxes will go up will be 3%.
Well,
Not so much,
No,
but also you'll have the rollback that comes in from the state.
I believe some homes are valued at $400 a square foot, and I haven't seen any comps to justify that. That's, I think, more the concern is the different valuations in the higher end homes.
I mean, when you take a house of 100,000 or 150,000, goes up 10%, and your tax, you know, that $15,000 tax difference is not a lot, but when you take a house that goes from 595 to 800 and some, well, then you're starting to, or even a business, you know, like, you know, if you go a couple $1,000s versus $100,000, that's a huge jump. That's a huge lot, I mean, that's a huge
And I
difference.
think it's not across board. Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do it according to districts, kind of, you do it by certain areas, what areas?
If we have the, if we have information to support it, we analyze each area,
Okay, and what do you use for your analyzation?
sales.
So what sales have we had for over $500,000 last year?
You'll get my response later.
I think last year we had 400 and some, last year, and that house that actually sold was assessed for higher than it sold for. I think it was like, so actually, our higher end homes are assessed higher than they're selling for. I mean, it's, you know, you look at some other places like business wise and you're at, you know, how did my business go up almost 10%? And then Dave's property right next door to me, it went like 0.5% or 1%. And then how did Baumgart's drop 100,000?
I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
And I guess if we have to have some, I don't know, Rick, are you there? We'd have to have some kind of a work session or. Because some of this stuff, can we do that? Linda?
We can sit down and talk with Linda, have a work session with her and see what we can
I
do.
can talk to you after,
That's fine.
after these people are done. At the meeting today.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just like to understand is my thing. And if,
I think we all will.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean, I'd like to be part of that conversation, that meeting too, when it happens.
I'll give it to you after he's done with this.
Well, I guess at this point, if there's nothing else, I'll reach out to you, let you know. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it this time.
Anybody else for open time?
anybody have Zoom? Huh? Got 2 residents, it says.
All right. Bree, you're up.
I just wanted to introduce my 2 colleagues. They are new on our project. We have a new developer, Sue Hansen, and a new member of our community engagement team, John Douglas. So I just want to give them a chance to introduce themselves to you all, and if there are any questions for them as well.
You did a good job slowing down.
I
this
know,
morning.
we were, did you practice in front of the mirror?
I take feedback very well.
You had 2 other ones, what happened to those?
No, they're still there. They're still in
Okay.
the project. Yeah,
Yeah.
but just in the spirit since I think May of last year, nobody that's been on the project, every single person on our project has come here to introduce themselves before they do anything in the community.
Sure.
So we did have the open house, which I understand you all were very busy. Too. So John Douglas and Sue were both there, but a little unorthodox introduction afterwards, but wanted to give them a chance to introduce themselves.
Any more meetings coming up in the future?
No, we talked about having another one. If there's interest in having another one, we would
I
love
don't have any
to.
interest.
I
Sorry.
don't either.
Well, it's called
Dean, you
being,
stuck around for a
I
while, for
was-
having no interest.
No, let me know if you come have one.
Yeah, and we're also happy to meet with anybody and just talk one-on-one with folks too, but, we do have some interest from the folks who did attend. Again, we had about a little under, about 2 dozen people, I think. So there was interest in having more. They didn't know a lot of information specifically about, the property taxes that would be raised from the project. Specifically about where the project was. They had questions about that, so, but I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sue Hanson with RWE, and I've been in the renewables business about 15 years. So got quite a bit of experience with that. Bree did bring to my attention about, the bonds, that you guys had questions about the bonds. So we are researching that and finding out what would be the best option so far. As far as the county in western Iowa, they've done their research, we've done research. I've had our outside legal attorney who lives over in that area do research, and we've not been able to find anything. So I'm not sure where that came from. But as Bree said, we're here to answer questions. I can leave my card. If you have questions, you can call. I do intend to be back and attend some meetings and John as well. And then we'll be on Zoom on the other ones when we can attend in person. So nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you.
John Douglas, I'm a consultant to help RWE on this project. I've been in Wynn for about 15 years, mostly all on the operations and maintenance side. So once projects are built, keep them running, operate them, do all that. So if there's any questions I can help with on how that looks, I can sure help address. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I was talking with, one of the supervisors in Webster County, and they're doing a repower part of, I think, south, of Fort Dodge, if I remember what Bob said. And he said that they are, base is the same, but the blades are gonna be another, I wanna say 12 to 20 foot longer, and that's, it's gonna be 20 some foot higher because of what it's setting on, the pedestal or the turbine. And they're going over that, and I said, well, the only thing that I can understand about that is those things are gonna weigh more when they come in, and it's gonna tear up our roads. Which I've heard through different people that some counties never had any issues and other counties had a lot of issues. So that's one thing I hear from our people is we wanna make sure that our roads are in good condition, but when they start, and then at what point do we say they're done repowering? The other question that was brought up was, what happens when these things are decommissioned? All that, do you guys have that stuff? We work with you, and I'm not saying this thing's going anywhere, but I guess those are questions that people ask me, and I just look at them like, I'm not sure on those things. So those are topics that I've discussed with people, and I guess looking for answers I'm hopeful that we'll reach out to the counties around us that have them, so that we'll have our backside protected to move forward with it. That's my comments.
Cause we keep saying it's a landowner issue. You know, I'm not gonna say I'm for or I'm against it. It's a landowner issue. Once it becomes enough landowners that have signed up, then of course, then it's up to us as far as making sure that we have proper setbacks and making sure that we're covered as far as, like, I did, the last, ISAC meeting we were at, one of the things that was brought up, and I did not realize is that if a company does go bankrupt, the decommissioning it's on hold until the end of the bankruptcy is all figured out. I did not realize that. So, and I can't remember what county that was, but, they have like 30 or 40 turbines that are not, they're supposed to be decommissioned, but they can't do it because it's in bankruptcy.
In bankruptcy court?
Yeah, it's in bankruptcy court, so that bond is stuck. So those are some of my concerns, and that's what we've got. We're just here to look out for the county, and it's not, like I said, I'm not gonna say I'm for or against. It's up to the landowners.
And my other question with the current administration's view of these things, are you guys, aren't feeling any pressure that we aren't getting the subsidies and all of the stuff that goes along with them? They're still paying?
So I can answer, I can start there and I can work my way back and feel free to chime in.
Yeah, I can answer the one about the roads and.
So that with the new administration, no worries, this is a privately funded project. Is it nice to have the extra money at the end of the subsidy? Sure, any business would tell you that. Is it necessary to build this project? No. It's just not. So it's a privately funded project that we're able to build without those, for what that's worth. RWE has a long history of building, these projects and plans to continue building these projects as well. In terms of, that particular county, we are literally hunting down the city.
Are you? Okay,
Yeah,
because I'm trying to
so-
I can't remember, and I wish I should put
Yeah.
something out on the message
So I
board.
remembered you saying in the western part of the state, so we actually involved, the lawyers, RWE's lawyers to help us look for it. Cause my team was not able to find anything,
Okay,
and obviously we're just going off of like bankruptcy, right? So
right,
it's a little bit harder to find that way, and that's why we got a witness in to go through the bankruptcy records and that kind of thing. So if you think of the county or anybody happens to mention it, or even an area, by all means, that'll help us narrow down the search. 39 counties it's a big search.
yeah, it is, yeah.
But I understand the concern, and it's a valid concern, right? So what we're looking on our end, and kind of to what Sue was saying, is how can we, as a company, present a solution and help the county see what solutions are available, right? How can we assuage the worry? How can we build that confidence, right? So we know we're a 100+ year-old company who is bringing all of that to back this project. We don't have any experience with going bankrupt, so we can't really speak to that process. So we're asking the experts who can speak to that process, right? And then what are the best ways that a county can protect its citizens from that, right? How can we help support that, right? That's my job, is to get answers. So we are looking for that very actively. So if any of you think of any identifiers, that would be great.
Okay,
And then to jump down to the roads, we feel really strongly about road use agreements, very strongly about it. There is no reason why we would ever leave somewhere worse than how we found it. It should be left just as it was or better. The roads should be fully repaired or restored. It's really important because we are not the only business who wants to be in Humboldt County. There are businesses operating in Humboldt County while we would be doing construction. We feel very strongly about having a road use plan in place or way ahead of time, so that we know exactly what to expect, so that the county knows what to expect, so that all the roads teams know what to expect. And y'all know I'm not a fan of surprises, don't want to provide surprises either, but that's a very big sticking point for RWE, is we want to make sure that we have that for the county. And then I'm forgetting the first question. I'm so sorry. Oh, the longer blades, the longer, bigger blades. I can't speak to that specific repowering. I'm not sure who's doing that. But with a lot of the technological advances, a longer blade where it tapers at the end, you'll probably notice it when you drive around. You'll notice some longer blades that are super, super tapered at the end. It helps the turbine operate and produce electricity and lower wind speeds. So that is a newer technological innovation. So a lot of times when they are repowering, they're bringing that on. Not every repower will do that. The ones that you go to Clear Lake, they repowered, I think, 2 summers ago. You'll notice those turbines have longer blades as well. They're a bit taller. They're tapered at the end there, but I know in Iowa Falls, they're just putting the same blades right back on. So it really depends on the project there.
Okay. What company is in Cassuth, you know?
I don't know.
I've heard nothing but horror stories from them.
Isn't that in Vinner?
Oh,
Yeah, they haven't received any payments. They still got roads that are a complete mess that the county has no money to pay for now, and they're supposed to fix them. I actually drove in one of the roads and it is horrible.
Really?
Yeah, so that's a huge concern.
So I obviously don't work for energy, so I can't really speak to that. I can tell you, it's not our project, and that's definitely not a way we want to do business. That's bad for our industry, quite honestly. Anytime somebody isn't taking care of a project, and I'm not saying that that's what happened, I haven't been out there and looked around, so I don't want to disparage anything. For us, you know, making your payment starts with paying your landowners, right? We have leases and paying through there. And starting with that reputation, because we've done a good job with our landowners. I'd be happy to drive on any of those roads though. If there's anything to flag that we can bring to our team to say, hey, when we come to the county for a road use agreement, we need to have plans in place. We've seen this in neighboring counties. We want to make sure that the county can see we're putting this good faith effort in. So if there's a specific road or anywhere like that, please let me know. I'd be happy to drive and take some photos and bring that back to our team. So we know that, hey, in the region, this could.
I forgot, what area was the county are you guys looking into?
Southeast, or southeast.
Southeast, okay.
That's what I mean.
Me too.
Oh.
I'm 100% opposed to them, so I make no bones about it.
You know,
I don't want them, I don't want to look at them. I can see them to the north of me already, I don't like them.
What are those,
I
30
don't-
miles, what are those, 30 miles away from us?
I don't, it doesn't benefit our county one bit, so I don't know why we would want them stupid things. So,
Well,
I'm talking as a citizen, I'm a citizen.
I know, but again, like I
Well,
say, it's a
like I said,
landowner
I
issue.
moved 16 years ago along by the river, what East Fork went, and why would I want to look at stupid things?
When you guys finish your project, you sell, sub, or lease it to Mid-America, so then in what department does it befall, what happens to them, yours or whoever leases or owns them, or whatever the future holds for them?
That's a new answer. Expert.
We've done both. We built and kept, and we've also built and sold. So it just depends, and it's not my department. It has to do with financials.
And that's where the subsidies fall into line, because if Mid-America don't get the subsidy for them, are they going to maintain them? That's where I'm at. You understand what I'm saying? Your subsidies probably don't matter much because you construct them, but the people down the line that use them are the ones that's going to determine how much they're going to get on the backside of this thing.
So our contracts carry, so let's say for hypothesis sake, right, that we're gonna sell it, right? We're just talking generalities. Our contracts carry, they don't alter, they carry exactly how they were signed and written. And I would be very surprised with electricity demand increasing constantly if that did not stay true. I mean, I like my cell phone, I like my computer, I like my electric coffee maker. So I don't foresee a future where that would be possible. I also don't work for Mid-American, so I don't want to speak to their business practices or anything like that. But our contracts do carry in full. They do carry. So if we were to sell it, that exact contract that they signed with RWE is enforceable. That's, the landowners are protected through that.
Okay,
And the turbine about it.
then how does it go defunct? I mean, how do they file bankruptcy if the sub is it yours or is it the subs that's going to file bankruptcy? And in which case does this thing end up in isolated? Nobody's taking care of wind turbines.
So again, I'm not sure where this place is that has, and I think that matters a lot for context here. RWE has no experience going bankrupt,
Okay.
so I can't speak to what a bankruptcy proceeding would entail. We are, because I know, Rick expressed this, three meetings ago, wanting to know what other options are available for the bond. And so we are looking into that, like what else has been done in Iowa, what else has worked really well for counties other than a bond. So we are asking that internally, what can we look for, to make sure that you will feel confident in that you're not encumbered by only one option, right? But I am not a bankruptcy expert and I will pretend to be.
Fair enough.
But I
You
can
have a
ask the
question,
right
sir?
question.
I do. Are the subsidies in jeopardy? Are they gonna go on forever from the federal government?
I'm not a lobbyist, so I have no idea. We can build our projects without them though.
They'll never go without subsidies. They'll never make it.
Our projects can be built without them.
Will-
They genuinely can be. They genuinely can be. The industry, especially in Iowa, has been here since 1981 and Adair County was the first turbine. And that's a really good long life for any industry. Similarly, natural gas could still exist and make a profit without subsidies. Oil obviously could, coal can. That's one of the aspects of the increasing demand for electricity really supports that. So we're very confident that we can continue to build projects for a long time to come yet.
The money that's being made is from the federal government.
Oh, I'll let
The
Sue correct
owners,
me.
the people that own them is where that are making the money.
Yes,
It isn't about production electricity, it's just subsidies.
oh, it's actually, most of the money is made from the sale of the electricity. Into the grid system, that's something where. Where how you're able to make the money, be selling it into the grid.
Warren Buffett, he's into it. Do you think that's because he's worried about electricity?
I think he's aware of the demand increasing. I mean, I'm not his advisor, but he's definitely spoken about increasing demand and that being a reason he has that in his portfolio. I have read some of those articles.
Well, with that, Bree, we don't wanna
Yeah,
put you on, we aren't putting you on the witness stand here.
Yeah.
We just had a few questions and we appreciate the fact that
Yep.
you, No, I understand. we appreciate it
we appreciate that, Bree.
Which, could I answer one more question about the road use?
for $10, Ken. I'm teasing, go ahead.
One of the things that we have, the county does itself is hires a professional company like I make to go out and survey the roads before we ever start anything. And we get a picture of what they look like before we start. And then that's part of the road use agreement. And when we're done, they come back and they survey them again. And the roads have to be at least what they were or better. 9 times out of 10, they're better than they were before. So just to kind of put your mind at ease a little bit on that as well.
I think gravels are probably better, I would argue, pavement's probably on it.
Listen, man, if there's a way we can make it better.
I agree. I think there's room for negotiation and there's room for improvement, and a road use agreement will definitely answer a lot of those questions.
Yeah.
Moving forward, but like the southeast part of the county that has a 4-inch concrete overlay, you can't tell me that that's gonna be in better condition after sustaining the loads that we're talking about versus where they're sitting right now without them.
I agree with that 100%.
And so that's why we wanna have those conversations well in advance so that we can figure out a way to,
This is,
no, I know, I didn't mean to imply.
no, I'm just saying, I don't feel comfortable sitting in here talking about it right now. That's okay.
Right,
Need to make that sound, like I apologize.
You're
I
good.
didn't mean that.
You're good, Bree.
all right, we
Okay.
appreciate that, and
Thank you.
thank you for your introductions. I can't remember names very well, so if I still look at you, you might just say,
Sue and John.
I'm so-and-so.
Sue.
There you go.
Remember that?
Sue, I should remember that, I'm married to Sue. God forbid I'd forget that.
Okay.
Anyway, we have that drainage in about 10 minutes, so I think we'll slip down to,
Well, were you gonna?
Yes,
address
I have
anything?
some things to, bring forward to you. I don't know that,
can we do it in 10 minutes?
I doubt it.
Well, then
So,
we'll have
We'll
to
wait till later.
do it a little
Yeah.
bit later
That'd
then.
be fine.
Then we'll just push that off and we'll go down and finish the bottom.
Sorry.
Bottom half. Are you all right? All right, we have accept and place on file the auditor's quarterly report for ending March 31st. I think that's in our packet here. With the before the paper clip.
Okay, the auditor, looks like $1,080
Yep, for transfer fees.
transfer fees. Okay, well, I'll make that motion to accept and place on file the quarter report ending March 31st for the auditor.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second for the quarterly report of the auditor. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Accept and place on file the quarterly report for the recorder. Ending the same time frame. I think
Yep,
Diane's stuff is in there.
yep, and she's got a total of $61,884.27. The county of that, the county gets $18,266.95, so the state would get $43,617.32.
Wow,
I'll make that motion. So again, they are working on things supposedly down at the state that the counties are gonna get more money. But the state gets most of it. We'll see if that really
I'll
does.
second it.
We'll see if that happens. Well, that's right, it's not comment time yet.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second for the recorder's quarterly report. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We have a special events Class C liquor license and outdoor sales permit for Lucky Wife LLC.
Life. Did you say life?
I said wife.
Oh, I thought you said life. Okay.
Could be like life.
No,
Yeah.
I read it and I said it because I was worried about what I heard.
The Lucy.
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to approve that.
So this is the group or the couple that was in what, a year ago?
Yeah.
Is that they're the same people?
Yeah.
And everything's in order according to
Yes.
our paperwork. So we have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Now we have approve a cigarette, tobacco, nicotine, vapor, holy moly. Retail permit for April through September for the Humboldt Country Club. Is that here?
That's this one here.
Okay. Nothing's missing for that, Trish?
Well,
Everything's in
dates,
order.
everything looks good. Okay, I'll make that motion to accept for the country club.
Okay, we have a motion
I'll second it.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, I think we have time for your committee reports. Which we. Are they calling us or are we calling them or how is this going together?
It's-
You might ask one of,
We're calling them.
we're calling them, all right, we got about 7 more minutes.
I had the public
You're okay.
safety
No,
meeting
I have
on
to sit over there. anyway.
Tuesday.
You had the what?
Public safety meeting on Tuesday.
Here,
Okay.
listen. I didn't have anything.
And then I went through the sheriff's office. On Wednesday, went through the whole department, went through that, everything, saw what they had. That was on Wednesday, and then I went out Friday to see a washout for Miles and Ostrom on the Nielsen farm. I got a big washout of tile that needs to be fixed.
Okay,
Travis is taking care of that. And that's it.
I did the safety meeting on Tuesday first, doing a tour of the law enforcement with Dean, after that.
That was Wednesday, right?
That was Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Then on Friday, I went up and took pictures of DD 18, it's north of Harding on Utah Avenue, it's right beside the road there. Had a statement that's sloughing off up there, and it is. When I took pictures, got pictures to Terry here, and we discussed that a little bit. I come in the office. And then I met with Nathan Reefers, the guy that's gonna spray our ditches in 2025. We have a contract with, open a channel of contact with him, and went and looked at his facilities, his equipment. And then I come down here and was in the tornado drill. So that went extremely well. So that's what I did.
all right, I had nothing.
Yes.
I had that, safety meeting on Tuesday. And then I met with, down at LAC and talked with, about Houston.
You got donuts, Mom?
Now, he was cutting in and out when he called me. He's calling me.
All right. Well, we have a couple,
I'm at Gator World, so it's hard to probably hear me.
Yeah.
we'll be safe.
They're tasty.
Remember the safety meeting, be safe at Gator World. Well, we have, a couple of minutes to wait to,
We went, who was I talking? I was talking to somebody and they said, we went to address, seating out here.
Yes.
And we got that pretty much handled, conservation is going
Oh, way out the,
up here.
Up here,
oh,
DDA
oh,
for it.
the,
Todd, leave the vehicle down at the,
Yes, I'm gonna butt in here, so you can hear me.
yep,
I talked with Jim Murray about that, cause it's 90% of it is the school's property. And he thinks it probably should be tilled and seeded, but he doesn't wanna do that this spring, cause then you won't be able to use it this summer. So he thought maybe in the fall would be a better time to do it, after they're done playing on it all summer.
Well, if we drill it,
He's-
if we drill it in, it won't have to be tore up that bad.
Yeah, he's mainly concerned about leveling it up and, you know, in case it's, it'll give it a summer to settle a little bit more. That was his thoughts, and plus they have their own cedar drill and stuff. So he said, let's talk about it this fall and see what it looks like. That was Jim's thought, so.
okay,
well, then we got a week or two to discuss it and see what the future looks like for rain, I guess. I heard a weather report that they're talking hot and dry, so I guess we don't wanna put it out. Not see any grass come up either, so.
Right.
Terry's making a phone call here, Rick, so hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Are we the lead? Are they the lead?
We're just doing the memorandum of understanding, so
Okay.
it's
I'm
for
assuming
all of
that's
them.
okay, I'll make the motion to recess, as the Board of Supervisors and convey as the board of the trustees for drainage.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to go into drainage, I'm gonna use all that,
I know, I just read it off the thing.
all in favor?
Uh,
Opposed, same sign, we are now in drainage. Just that
$15,000.
yeah,
small area south of This corner there, 17, is that what we're talking over there?
This is just an agreement saying that anything up to $15,000,
Oh,
they don't
alright.
even have to talk to us,
Okay,
Who convened as
or vice
trustee?
versa.
Sandy and
Sandy, BDR,
And who? You
the BR, so you get first priority, just
Oh.
line B.
Yeah,
good to leave.
yeah,
Thank you, Dean.
thank you.
All right, thanks. It'd be easier to just call him during the meeting and say, we're waiting.
Just call Ricky, he'll answer.
I was gonna say, should I just send him a message and say, we're waiting?
I thought I heard Betty in the background.
He's home.
I called Avery over there, it was an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah. I'm home. With that option.
We got time to answer a potential spam call.
You bet, you.
Go
bet.
ahead, get after it. I wanna hear what you say to him.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to have one of those air hands that,
That would not be good.
no, well, they don't answer
No,
about 3 hellos.
yeah.
Yeah, better luck getting into the White House, I think, than.
Well, I was gonna call that, but I can't. Rick on mine.
I do.
But I mean, I got Rick Peterson on mine, I can't call him.
Yeah, Humboldt County is on the line for drainage. Can you hear us? Speaker.
The host would like you to unmute your microphone.
Here, I have
You
Ricky
can
on
press
mine right.
star 6. You are unmuted.
This is Humboldt County. Can you hear us? Yeah. Okay, so we have Bruce Reimers, Sandy Loney, Bob Rasmussen, Mike Carpenter, and we have Rick Peterson on phone. And we're here for the memorandum of understanding between Humboldt and Wright County.
And we have Dean Clues, Rick Rasmussen, Lynn Luke, and Betty Ellis, and Ashley Bosch is on Zoom from Wright County, numerous people in the outskirts, so.
Okay. Okay, so we're,
Questions on our? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
so we've got the memorandum of understanding at 15,000, which would make it so that we would be okay to approve up to 15,000 on each side for the joint drainage districts. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
No questions from Wright County side.
No question.
No
Well, the only question I have is, Rick, will there be notification that something's done or in the process, or how is that gonna work?
Yes, I think
Bruce.
board should be aware what's being done, it's just they don't have to see.
I think there will definitely be correspondence concerning that.
Well, that's my question, is as long as both sides know that something's going on, then I'm good with that, so.
What I understand is that we would still give work orders and we would pass those to the different county, and then we would all be in line with knowing what's
Yep,
happening.
Yeah, just so we keep good documentation of what is going on out there.
exactly.
Right. Documentation and pictures. Yep.
With no questions, Clues from Wright County will make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Humboldt County and Wright County concerning joint drainage districts.
Mike Carpenter will second that from Humboldt County.
Wright County, all in favor, Wright County?
Aye.
Humboldt County, all in,
Wright County.
Okay. Okay.
Humboldt County, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, our Humboldt County is all in favor, Rick?
Okay, thank you. Anything else before us?
That's all we have, I believe.
That's it.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was easy.
We're gonna
Let's-
do that with Wright, or with Webster,
Webster,
right?
and then I'm gonna try to get Pocahontas.
Sue.
Okay, I hope we're off.
And Clark also.
Yeah, so those I haven't gotten yet, but,
Okay.
so I have to try to get on with those, yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, not dead
Anything
yet.
else in drainage?
Yeah, we have a petition for 11 sub 1 in Rutland Township 7 and 8,
Football by Davis.
mhm. And
That's that one we were talking about
Yeah.
before, wasn't it?
yeah, that, I think it was my fair, yeah, he came in, and then also, Thomas Thompson from Sunderman. Which he came in and actually signed the petition as he has the affidavit of. He can sign for Archer
For the
Farms.
Archer Farms.
So he's the only one that had signed on this one. What they wanted to do is replace the old tile and increase the drainage coefficient. They wanted to do pattern tiling throughout the Archer Farm, farm. So that, and they had said that in the last, that they've had to replace the tile over the last couple of years, that it's not deep enough. But they still want to increase the coefficient, so that's the reason for the petition.
Glad you going to.
I
We
think,
won't know until we have an engineer's report.
Okay.
right now, I believe it's, like 14 to 18 in places is well, and they have an old tile and then they have a relief tile. I think they had said they wanted to go to 24, but again, that would be the engineer that would,
Determined.
let us know that.
Rick, was that gonna be done, removing the old or smashing the old? Or-
The thing we need to do is appoint an engineer to, review this and give us an engineer's report.
Okay,
And what is the engineer's best decision is how to improve the drainage in sub 111. So we need to appoint an engineer. They will take it from there, get back to us when they have it completed. We will then accept it and then set a hearing date. We'll see if we move forward.
okay. Any recommendations then?
Maybe appoint Jacob Westergaard.
Is that in form of a motion then?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second to appoint Jacobs and Westergaard. Any other discussion?
Don't we have to accept the petition first?
Yeah, you do have to accept the petition and then appoint the drainage.
I just saw that on the way to
Oh,
go.
back up
so
then. Accept the petition for the improvement.
I'll make the motion to accept the petition for improvement.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now. You wanna go
I'll
with
make
your,
a motion to appoint Jacobson and Westergaard for the engineering group. Give you the report.
and there's a second,
I second, I second.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I have a question on that. What if they have someone else that they would rather you? Do they have enough?
Spoke with, the majority of the landowners, and that's who they both prefer.
All right, just, I thought I'd ask before we. But you take care of it, I appreciate it. All right, anything else, Terry?
I do not have anything else
All
at
right,
the moment.
nothing else is going on in drainage? All right, with that,
I'd like to standardize the procedures on which when we call in for a repair, how it's supposed to work.
Oh, yeah, and we can either discuss it now or do a work session, which
Whatever you
we
prefer.
did not get put on for this week, so we have to do that next week.
perfect, we can do it next week then.
Yeah, I
All
think,
right, let's put that together and we'll talk about it next week then.
okay.
You good with that, Rick?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, with that, then I'll look for a motion to get out of drainage.
I'll make a motion.
Second it.
Motion in a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, we're out. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
All right, we got committee reports done, we're,
Linda.
all right,
Okay.
That will be, I'll find out.
Yep. Well, that's what, he's been the one that's been handling it.
Yeah, he's actually really good.
Thanks. We'll put that request in, make sure it's on, but he usually does all
He's the one
those.
that's been handling the
Yeah.
Colin.
That's further along, there's 2 pages.
You want to put them in the register file?
Yeah.
Good, Jim, and John, good.
Thank you.
Good one there. Yeah, 2,000.
Okay, we got it.
Okay, the first.
We got the double page you're looking at first?
Correct. It's just kind of a, condensed version of timeline on assessment process. Mailed out all assessment notices. Boy, I hope I can talk through this. When reviewing a specific property, this is like for the girls at the counter and that, with the property owner, you wanna, ask if the property owner completed an appraisal. Look at BCS to see if there's any sales. If the property was listed for sale. Permits and notes on our assessment cards. The Department of, well, assessments reflect the last 12 months historical sales data, which has already occurred. The Department of Revenue will recalculate the rollback rate to limit growth across the state to 3%, which that could change to 2%. Isn't that in discussion down at the legislature? Since most of the state is experiencing similar increases, this rollback will offset a large amount of the increase in curb inflation. Although it's helpful for a property owner to provide an appraisal to dispute the assessed value, keep in mind, assessors use all the sales data to determine values, not just 3 or 5 sales selected to support a purchase price or a mortgage refinance.
So Linda, I have a question on that. If the property owner has a assessed value at 250 and the appraiser that you find has it at 350, you split the difference or how does that work?
Depends where you're at. If you're in court, there's usually negotiations that go on.
During,
Yeah. PAB is kind of more, PAB is the Property Assessment Appeal Board, which is free to the county and free to the public. They seem to be more cut and dried. You present your side, they present their side, and then they make a decision.
But if there's this huge difference between the two, how do they make their decision on
On the evidence that's provided
what's been provided? All right.
from
I
each
just-
side,
I'm trying to learn as well, so.
right, right.
Because when people ask me this at the grocery store and I'm looking for that, buy a box of noodles that I'm supposed to be getting and I get sidetracked and then I get one,
Then
why
you're in
it took me an
trouble.
hour and a half to get home with the
Yeah,
wrong noodles is right.
right, there are no noodles.
And I come home with tuna then or whatever it is, then she's really upset, so.
Anyways, then, for our agricultural this year, kind of gives you on the sheet how it's calculated. Our values increased by 35%. The CSR base rate went from $25.45 to $35.50 per CSR point. The ag building factor changed to 74%, meaning the ag building is valued at 26% of the depreciated replacement cost. So anybody that has agricultural buildings, they're valued at 26% of the replacement cost, new less depreciation. Let's see, where was I? So that's how we arrived at the ag value this year, and that came from when you get on the Department of Revenue's website, there's a place there that productivity values, and it gives them from every county. So you can get on there and look, and in fact, I have copies where you can have those. So that's what we wait for. We hope they're in time that we can get it done. It takes a lot of information that they have to gather before they can put that formula together. Residential, and that includes ag dwellings. 104 normal sales for 24. Include residential, ag dwellings, and residential 3+ for equalization purposes. Our median at the beginning of 24 was 92.81. By the end of 24, it had increased a big whopping 92.93. Meaning we had to do some revaluation because we're required by the state to have a 5% leeway either way, 95% to 105 in our median sales ratio.
And correct me if I'm wrong, which I probably will be, but if you don't do that, then they come in and adjust that, right?
Correct.
That's the point that some people don't
They give
understand.
the order to the auditor and they apply it across the board. If you get, and they do it in 6% increments, so
So what was our percentage again then?
92,
92. Okay.
and you have to be at at least at 95.
So with that statement, everyone thinks that it's your office or this building that adjusts that, just, for giggles.
Mhm,
But if it isn't done, then it's done by the
correct,
state.
correct.
We'll step in and take care of that for us.
I think it's about October. You get a letter stating if there's an equalization order or not in each class of property. So they analyze everything down there, and we have to send in all the information, all the sales information when we get it. And then they take our abstract with our values and look at that and see if we comply we're within the limits, and if we're not, then you get the order.
Where are we at now? If we were at 92 before the adjustment, did you go up to 95?
It's at 99. Mhm.
So currently we're at 99 then.
Yeah, I'll get to that. You'll get a copy of that.
Okay.
Residential, let's see. We're increased 4.94% overall. Based on the sales meeting, doesn't mean that your individual assessment went up that much. Or maybe it went up more. And to do this, our manual level increased from 115% to 130%. The depreciation base year was changed from 22 to 24, which we do that first. I don't know if that's the thing to do or not. It's not easy to work around. Anyway, we changed the depreciation and everything goes down because there's more depreciation. And then we have to adjust other areas to bring it back up to at least the 95%. Map areas were analyzed. Residential 3+, Department of Revenue requires us to track these parcels separately for the abstract and reconciliation reporting. However, for equalization, the residential 3+ is combined with res and ag dwellings. And that increased about 10%. Residential 3+ uses the commercial depreciation of its an apartment building, manufactured home park, that sort of thing. It's a multifamily conversion, then it uses the residential depreciation. So it's not easy to understand at all. There could be slight differences. Map areas could also affect the value. Commercial, we had 18 sales, but that included 12 appraisals from the Department of Revenue. They come up here and physically, there's a process whereby we choose properties for them to appraise in the county. And they will come up and go to these properties and do an appraisal on them. In the first of 2024, the median sales was 72 for commercial. By the end of 24, it had risen to 90.54, but that's with the Department of Revenue's appraisals added in. But it's still out of tolerance, so we had to do a revaluation. Commercial properties increased 7.8 overall. Manual level was increased from 135 to 150. And the depreciation base year was changed. Industrial was left the same. It's not in the equalization process at all. We usually leave them alone for a while, and then every so often we'll include them in on a increase. I think we've done that 2 or 3 years ago. The amount of increase to the assessed value does not mean that your taxes will increase at the same rate. Property taxes are calculated with the taxable value, not the assessed value. Thus the rollback. The growth limitation or rollback will drive the taxable percentage lower and help offset the increase. It is the tax levy rate set by the local taxing entities. The county, the cities, hospital, school. To determine a property tax liability. The budgets corresponding with the 25 valuations will be for the 26-27 fiscal year. The taxes for the 25 assessments will be due in the fall of 26 and spring of 27. Ultimately, we do not know an individual's taxes, how they will be affected, as we do not know the future tax levy rate, the rollback, or any legislative changes that may occur. The assessor's office does not determine tax rates, calculate, or collect taxes. Let's see. There was mention, well, in that sales ratio discussion. It was mentioned the inequities. Our sales ratio for residential after revaluation was 99.01 with a coefficient of dispersion of 25. And a price-related differential of 1.11. I'll tell you what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any paper on that kind of spells that out for us?
I'll give you, I don't have copies, but I'll give you one later.
Okay, cause I know we're gonna get asked on it.
The coefficient of dispersion is in general, a coefficient of dispersion in excess of 20 indicates the existence of inequities. That is true, because ours is 25. And our, let's see, price-related differential is 111. And this says an index of 100 indicates no difference in the assessments of high-value properties in comparison to those for low value. An index greater than 100 indicates that high-value properties are under-assessed in relation to low value. So that's that. Our commercial. Our commercial, we ended up, it's kind of the same process, and we ended up with a median of 95.97. That's really close to the 95. Our coefficient was 14.65, that's good. And our PRD was 1.06. So that's in pretty good shape.
And PRD again is,
Price-related differential.
okay.
I know it was mentioned about Webster County. We were being compared to Webster County. This is from a PAB case. In fact, it happens to be from Mitch Fridolson's PAB case on his hardware store several years ago, which says, this is the PAB's decision. And it said, Fridolson also made comparison and asserts Humboldt's assessments are considerably and consistently higher than Webster County. We note comparing assessments between taxing jurisdictions is not proper evidence to support an overassessment claim. Then there was, talk about not being comparable to this property and that property. There's a lot of things that play into that. I won't read it all through because it's long, but this particular building has geothermal heating, which was considered as the grade of the building. See if I got anything else highlighted. There was an appraisal on it. The appraiser was not present. The other side's appraiser was not present at the hearing to defend his appraisal. Well, first of all, if sales cannot readily establish market value, then the assessor may determine the value of the property using the other uniform and recognized appraisal methods. On their appraisal, they had the sales comparison approach that led us to question its reliability as an indicator of market value for the subject property. First, the majority of his sales were roughly 75 to 90% smaller in gross building area. The smaller properties did not have the same retail use, blah, blah, blah. And otherwise, they were basically warehouse buildings. We believe there's a significant error in the analysis and effectively results in the appraiser valuing the subject property as a minimally finished storage warehouse. Failing to recognize and account for these differences results in an artificially low conclusion of value. Yeah, we won't get into that. But that's, you just can't come into the counter and say, this one's lower, this one's lower, mine should be lower. There's a lot of things to consider when you're analyzing those properties against each other. There is a difference with, it was mentioned about bongars. And what was the other one? Oh, vet clinic. In doing our analysis, we applied an obsolescence to those properties. And
What is that?
An obsolescence that normally reduces the value. And that was when we were using a map area factor of 1.05, which increased the area 5%. Then when we didn't like the looks of that, we removed the map area factor. But those two commercial properties didn't get the obsolescence removed and should have. So when I was thinking on it, I thought, well, 3 wrongs don't make a right. So I did not go, I offered Mr. Fridolson to apply an obsolescence to make his supposedly equitable with the others. And he didn't take it. So I would rather deal with what we're going to do with the other two and go from there. So I live here. Oh, it was also mentioned about Justin Carlson's being over 1 million. Paul Anderson's being over 1 million. Both of those people, we did not get into the homes to assess quality
Did they give you a layout of the house and square footage and?
Well, there was a blueprint that was given. But we really need to see like what we consider how we do quality.
Like with the
decision.
countertops and with the cabinets and things like, you mean the interior part of it?
Correct. And I realize people don't care to have us go through their homes and I respect that. But it doesn't take very long to do it and it's for their benefit as well that we do to have it correct.
And they probably need to be present when you do that, correct?
Oh, they're there. Yes, we don't go through it by ourselves, so. And on the Anderson property, it is not commercial. We have a dual class. Part of it's residential, part of it's commercial. So it's not completely commercial.
Is that because the garage is attached to the shop?
Mm-hmm, correct. Also, Mr. Fridolson has an acreage over by Rutland that he has a newer building out there that was a partial assessment last year. But we did not get in it to complete it. So,
how do you determine the value if you don't get in the house to discover the?
see this? This actually says Assessor's Bible. Basically, this is what we use. And it's given to us by the Department of Revenue. And it has each classification in there to price up.
Is there a parameter that you gauge when you're guessing what's in that house, or do you just, does that Bible tell you what you're going to assess it at?
No, we have to make some kind of determination. We have to give it a grade, which is quality. And I think we give it a 3 or something. Do you remember? No.
Is that on your assessment paper, the quality, you know, the paper that you send out, is that quality on there?
You mean the assessment notices?
Yeah, the assessment,
No.
is that quality
No,
on there? So how do you know what your quality you're assessed at?
You'd have to ask or get online and look at your property record card online. You can go to Beacon or Iowa Assessors. So, and that's something we do internally. We have our own method of doing it or thought process on it. Somebody else could come in and say, well, I don't agree with that, but we don't think the same possibly. So, from our attorney in the court cases we have, I think I gave you a copy of that email. As the assessor, you cannot be expected to know the precise condition and quality of houses if the property owners refuse to allow entry into the house. Assessors are allowed to estimate under these circumstances. It may turn out that the estimate is wrong, and if so, then corrections can be made upon proper proof. So,
basically, you need to go to Cole's house and probably go in there and look at it.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And Mr. Carlson's.
Isn't Steve Mayo's another $1 million house up there on the hill?
It may be.
Pretty sure it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Thank you for reminding me. Here we go. But wait, there's more.
About out of coffee, so.
I know, me too.
Okay, they're short.
What's left out?
A lot of bodies in here and a lot of air. And I'm one of them. Hey, I'm not afraid to make fun of myself.
Here is, it's an older court case, but a court case. And I have several of them here, but I'm only gonna give you one. In the same court case, it does state that if there are no sales available to support that type of property, that other methods can be used to determine the value. In the event market value of the property being assessed cannot be readily established in the foregoing manner, then the then the assessor may consider its productive and earning capacity, if any, industrial conditions, its cost, physical and functional depreciation, and obsolescence and replacement costs, and all other factors which would assist in determining the fair and reasonable market value of the property. And then it goes on. There is no reason which occurs to the court to require section 441 as amended to be interpreted in such a way that a property built of such size and construction as to be greater in the value than any other in the community can only be subject to tax in the range of its more modest but more marketable neighboring properties. The person who builds a castle on the hill must be taxed on the value of that castle and not on the value of the more modest homes in the neighborhood. It could be scarcely be contended that one who built couple $1 million home in the community where the highest sales were lower could be only taxed on the lower amount. So just because there's no sales that occur on those types of houses doesn't mean that they aren't worth it. Any questions?
Well, I would say this. And I'm not defending anybody, but to go in and stand at your counter and ask some of these questions and have some of the feedback that you just gave this entire room, you're probably not gonna be able to digest most of it
I don't
and
usually get
understand it,
all of
because I felt like I was sitting in a
Mhm.
foreign language class
Mhm.
and I'm,
I understand.
My biggest thing is, Linda, is. Okay, I'm a concerned citizen, my taxes went up. I'm gonna walk in there, I'm gonna say,
Don't say taxes.
I'm sorry, assessment,
Cause I'm gonna say, go to your budgeting body.
okay. I'm gonna come in and say my assessments went up.
Okay,
Is there any compromise that we can please do? And what are you gonna say to me in return?
well, let's go over your property record card and see if we have everything correct.
Okay,
And go from there
Okay.
and visit about it. If I see something that looks off or in error, I definitely don't have any problem correcting that. If I don't see anything to that nature, recommend that they go to the board of review.
I understand that, I'm just trying to save our county money. Cause it's been fees, lawyer fees.
I agree.
I'm trying to get away from that. If we can resolve it in a calm manner and
I won't change it if I don't see a reason to, just because. I mean, that's not fair to other taxpayers.
I get it.
You know,
As compared to other counties, how do we stand as far as the challenges we meet? With people contesting their tax increase, assessed increase.
I don't know if I understand your,
Okay, as compared to Webster, Cassuth, pick a county, I don't care which one, we got 99 of them.
right,
How do we stand in comparison to other counties? Do they have as many challenges as we have? I'm asking.
probably, I don't know for sure. We hear of them, you know. They all have their challenges. In every county. Large or small.
Where we rate with other
Right, yeah.
with other counties our size.
As far as lawsuits filed.
In pick one. Yeah, challenges, lawsuits. Pad boards, approach. People going to the pad board, what is it?
I don't know if it's something they publish.
No,
It'd be something that.
no,
Yes.
and what difference does it make?
It doesn't, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out where we're at. Is this
Yeah.
common throughout the state of Iowa? That's what I'm after. I don't know.
Well, the attorney I emailed last Friday has got a court case in Dallas County today, so it's ongoing.
I think everybody's tired of taxes.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, it is.
And it gets hyped up with the state stuff going on. And I see it like on my, I don't know if it's Facebook, but the news sites, they're starting chatter with property tax in that county and it's all the same thing. People think that they're paying too much and I don't like paying them either, but I do like the services I receive.
Right.
From those, at least it's taxes that stay within your community.
I think the governor has actually promoted some of this.
Yeah.
The problem,
It's-
they're making everybody, they're telling everybody, your taxes are gonna go down, we're gonna save you money on that. And they're not behind it, they're not supporting that part of it, it's up to the counties to do it.
Yeah,
And
So it's misinformation, it's politics,
yeah.
that's what it is.
Well, CBS, their morning thing, Channel 8's, Pat Grassley was on there again this morning. He was bragging about they're getting ready for all the tariffs and all the things that are gonna happen to Iowa because they have that $6 billion excess. So, yeah,
the state does.
the state does. Oh, yeah, if you watch that show, he said on there $6 billion the state has as an excess.
That's why they're trying to buy southern Minnesota.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
right, and when, see,
You're
that's
exactly
just
right.
it, that was the other thing that was brought up was all the things that they're doing with the schools. And how the money is, what it was at 500,000, they underestimated what it was gonna cost for these vouchers, I think that's what they said.
Private schools, yeah.
Yeah, for the vouchers, it's like, it's a very interesting program, I gotta give them credit, they do a good job.
well, then the auditor's now required to send out that letter.
Right, that costs.
Yep,
It's confusing.
But it's confusing.
what county was it? Scott County, right? 40,000 to send them.
Did we get our
No.
bill yet to know what we paid?
How is
I'd
that?
like to,
And you can't
Couldn't find
understand
that
them
out.
anyway.
yeah,
They're
Half
very,
actual.
yes, there's correct, they're half factual.
Good job.
And then when people get their taxes, they're like, well, that's not what it says.
I agree.
Right,
Well, the other reminder, I guess, that we'd like to bring forward is that office, your office, is doing the job that they're required to do by the state guidelines that you're given. And it's a hostile environment at the best, because the person that comes in is upset. My taxes, my evaluations, my whatever number, it's inflated, but by the same token, you're doing what Des Moines says we have to do, so.
Everybody just needs to be respectful. Your
Yeah.
department needs to be
Absolutely.
respectful of people, and the people need to be respectful of your
And
department.
we are
We just
always-
mutual respect.
I don't believe we are ever rude, unless you don't like the word no.
A lot of people don't.
Right? Yeah. But,
That's the only thing I would like to say, is just everybody be mindful of,
and most people are.
Work together.
Most people are very respectful of us on the phone and at the counter. And they might not like what they hear, but for the most part, everybody is okay. Anything else?
Well, I'm bringing mine into you after the meeting, because my wife and I have a dispute. She tells me one thing and I read it the other way, so I'm coming in to find out which way, who's
It is.
right, so I can go home and say, I got you.
Either that or you're not gonna bring it up.
No, otherwise, and I know she'll never listen to this meeting, so I'm saying, so.
I know why mine was.
Yes, you are brave.
I know why.
That was
I
your
know-
own doing.
I'm being honest because
I
I'm
know it.
sitting in this chair. Mine was listed as agricultural for
For
20 years.
probably forever, yeah.
I am not agricultural, I am residential. So therefore, I still think she went too high, but that's why mine went up.
They get 20 years of back taxes.
No,
Then what happens to you?
that don't
Then what
happen.
happens to you?
That happened on our acreage,
But I was honest.
but that was what.
Yes.
I didn't think you'd do that quick though. I thought you'd forget.
Oh, no, we went right back to the computer and Carly made a note.
That's like the trooper that's sitting there that just got you for speeding. You don't think that he's gonna say, I already got it recorded here. Well, anyway,
That's it.
thank you.
You got any more
I don't know
questions?
that we've solved any
No,
major
but
problems, but hopefully if
you
it
know
leads
our
to a question, I'm
position.
gonna be interested to listen to the news tomorrow morning when
Uh-huh.
Matt
Yeah.
prepares this and to see where he's at. Or
Speaks
April's letter in the front page of the
Thursday.
paper Thursday. We'll see how we did. Then I can reread it and see if I took it that way but
Lots of weird words.
yeah, there's lots of words that's just like, wow. So I appreciate your, yeah, call Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hung up.
Look at that, he's like a gator.
Gator got him.
And there is also PAP cases on ag versus residential, what constitutes ag.
What does constitute ag?
Agricultural activities,
Animals?
animals, yes.
How big does the garden have to be?
You might not.
We might qualify.
There is. Just because you have,
Does mowing consider it as agriculture?
What?
I have 3 hours for mowing.
You need goats.
We have
Then,
that too, but our kids were the mowers.
I can send you some peeps.
there's several PAP cases on, one I was reading was, he had 12 acres. Had a new house, had an old house. Had a few cows and a few chickens, sold some eggs, sold some, beef. And in the opinion, it was, what was the word on that?
Hobby farm.
Basically, it wasn't actually agricultural.
I got an acre of ground.
Probably just cause the IRS to get a flag
That's what
that
we
you're
did.
selling beef or.
Oh, that was too.
Well, you must have that.
Oh, gee.
When we were listed as agricultural.
If there's no more questions, I'd entertain a motion to put this
I know.
to bed.
I'll make a motion to put this.
I'll
thing.
second.
Second, all in favor? Opposed, same sign. We're done at 10:09.
Ben, did you have something? Okay.
Wait.
We're done.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Linda.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now, was there some stuff that Rick here that?
Yeah.
I got
This is
this.
the copy of the,
I have it.
probably just the agenda, I'm guessing.
Okay, I got that letter still there. If I find something
Mysterious.
yeah, I'll bring it down.
Yeah, if you don't know,
Okay.
So. Just calling.
What's that called?
It is super.
Last time it was called.
I didn't know how long they had, what kind of agenda they had, or if it's just.
Another 10 minutes,
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I think
You know,
that.
I'm getting tired of them not.
I'm-